Hi, I'm Ecto. I'll be talking about the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer today. This might have been my strangest movie going experience yet when I watched this movie. Everybody in my theater room walked out. There was only 11 other people, but still, I was shocked. Never saw so many people at once leave after less than 5 minutes. I watched most of the screening alone by myself, and it was awesome. No people who started talking during key scenes, no random person turning on their phone illuminating part of the cinema room, and no annoying noises from neighboring people. So this is how rich people must feel. I like the movie very much, by the way. Not as much as Superman 2025, but not far off. And I'm sure other people leaving didn't think the movie sucked. It was because they didn't read that the movie screening was going to be in English and bought a ticket for the screening by accident. For context, currently I live in a non-English-speaking European country, and usually my cinema doesn't do screenings in English. They didn't even do one for the 20th anniversary of the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith movie. And when I hear they would screen a sequel of one of my favorite horror movies of all time in English, I bought my ticket immediately. Too sad that they probably won't do it again, because I was the only one who seemed to care. There was one manager guy who kept coming in every 20 minutes to see if there was still somebody in there. And I was every time like, "What's up?" They must have lost so much money on the screening. Nevertheless, let's start talk about this movie. So, I Know What You Did Last Summer is a slasher movie, and the sequel to the movie I Still Know What You Did Last Summer from 1998. Oh my gosh, that was 27 years ago. Which itself was a sequel to the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer from 1997. This movie might have the same name as the movie from 1997, but it's still considered a sequel, not a remake. Characters from the old movies also appear in this movie, which underlines the sequelness nature of this movie. But the main characters in this movie are other people. The new guys were alright. Akin was great for horror movie standards, and no character felt too annoying, not like in many other horror slasher movies. My favorite new main character was probably the brunette final girl, not bothering to learn their names. My favorite new character, including all the other characters, was probably Psycho Barbie, though the real highlight was seeing the legacy characters from the original movies, especially Julie James, played by Jessica Love-Avery. She was 100% of the reason why I kept rewatching the original movies as a kid. She might have been my first crush if I think about it, but doesn't matter. Let's get to the important question. How were the kills in this movie? They were alright. The gimmick of the slasher of this franchise is to use a hook, even though in this movie the killer also used a fisherman's harpoon. And I don't recall the original killer having used one. Besides that, the kills were nothing special, but I like the suspense of how they set up and staged the kills. In other words, I had fun during the journey, but arriving at the destination was whatever. My favorite kill is probably, spoiler alert, about to talk about the plot, the Psycho Barbie's one. Where she dies, she screams, "I'm a fan! I'm a fan!" Which you will learn later why it was so funny to me. This movie starts with a 20-something-year-old brunette girl traveling back to her hometown, Southport, North Carolina, which was the same hometown of the people from the original movies. She's back in town to celebrate her best friend's engagement. Let's call her Blondie. The other two important main characters are Blondie's current fiancé, yes, I said current, and Brunette's ex-BF from high school. Together after the engagement party, they plan to go on a ride in a car and get themselves high on marijuana while watching the 4th of July fireworks. They invite the girl, the last important main character, let's call her outsider girl, to come with them. They used to be best friends back in high school, but while she was having a horrible time dealing with heavy mental issues because of her father taking all of her college money and leaving her alone, the group kind of abandoned her, leaving town to go on their own adventures, and lost contact with her. Just wow. Instead of overrunning a guy like JJ and her friends did back in the original, a guy in a car crashes off the road into his death because drugged fiancé number 1 thought it would be funny to challenge destiny by standing on the road and making a car stop in front of him. The car driver died because he tried not to kill our main characters, who tried to get him out of the car afterwards, but in the end, he still falls down a cliff. Since they endangered themselves on purpose, they are right to think that this would be classified as a manslaughter. Anonymously, they call the emergency services, leave before anybody arrives, and like in the original, they promise to never talk about what happened to anybody else to evade legal consequences. Afterwards, there is a time jump of 1 year. We cut to brunette final girl, let's say, exploring her sexuality with a girl I already name-dropped as Psycho Barbie in a public bathroom. I got flashbacks from watching that scene. When I was like 10 years old, I caught 2 lesbians doing the same thing in a McDonald's bathroom. They had forgotten to lock the door. And no, I wasn't the one who was in the wrong bathroom. That day, little Ecto's life was changed forever. After they finish, it is revealed that they just met on a plane, and a brunette ex from high school, one of the 5 who were involved in a car crash from last year, is about to pick her up to go back to Southport. Psycho Barbie also wants to go there and asks the brunette girl for a ride. The car ride atmosphere is more awkward than me sitting alone in a cinema watching 2 lesbians do it a minute ago. During the ride, we get to know that Psycho Barbie is a true crime podcast freak and that she travels to Southport to get some info about the killings from the 1997 movie. That's the reason why I nicknamed her Psycho Barbie. That, and because of her appearance and vibes. Plus, while in Southport, she says,
This place is so beautiful, it makes me want to die.
so psycho. Hot, but so psycho. Great foreshadowing though. Well, on the other hand, Brunette Final Girl and the generic high school ex are on their way to Southport to be part of Blondie's engagement. One at last year, you ask? Well, while Brunette coped with the whole thing by becoming a kinky sex freak, hope she enjoys getting occasional scene, fiancé number one couldn't cope with the drama and destroyed his relationship with Blondie by becoming a substance abuser. Dad and Blondie did not like that he left her 1 month before the wedding. After breaking up, she found another man who became her fiancé number two. At Blondie's party, everybody, Brunette high school ex, Blonde, and the outsider girl, meet up again. During the party, Blondie receives presents, and one of them is a card which says, "I know what you did last summer." And with that, the main-slasher plot of the movie starts. She freaks out, but quickly thinks it must have been her fiancé number one who's playing her a prank. Spoilers, it wasn't him. The first girl in the movie is fiancé number two of Blondie. While the killer of the original movies liked to make dead people disappear, the killer of this movie likes to display the bodies, often even publicly. In this case, the killer displays fiancé number two in Blondie's house to make her find him and even leave a nice little message. "You can't outrun your past," or something like that. The hook killer, how I call the slasher of this franchise, likes to psychologically torture his victim before he kills them. The group of five realize quickly that somebody's after them. And after Brunette Final Girl encounters the killer, they realize, thanks to Psycho Barbie's podcast, that the killer is copying the gimmick of the hook guy, or fisherman, from the original movie in 1997. While the group does detective work, which includes the involvement of JJ, who's now a teacher, her now ex-husband Ray, who's the outsider's girl's boss at her job, they have a lot of chase scenes and encounters with the hook slasher. The people in this movie who die are fiancé number 1 and 2, fiancé number 1's dead, Psycho Barbie, Brunette's ex from high school, Graveyard Guy, Pastor, who they think for a bit is the killer because they found out during the movie he was close to the victim, and that's all the kills, I think. During the climax, the one thing X from high school does not get with the Brunette Final Girl in the movie because he thinks for some reason asking for a break during initial heat and going outside while the hook guy is after him is a good idea. It gets revealed that there are, again, two killers posing as the hook guy. The first one is revealed to be outsider girl. She says that when she went through that hard time years before the incident, she felt betrayed by her friend when they abandoned her and left her alone. And she happened to know the guy they killed last summer. Sam was his name, by the way. He was one of the only people who were there for her during those sad times. When she realized that the guy in the car who died was him, it felt to her like her entire world broke together again, and that she thought about ending herself. One concluded with, "Why should I kill myself when I just could kill all of you?" I see no problem with this logic. So I like this reveal. Even though I guess 10 minutes before it got revealed during the fight between Hooker and fiancé number 1, he managed to fight back easily, and without the hook, he probably would have been able to overpower Hooker. That, until the reveal, you never see Hooker attack outsider girl. I like the original movie way more, but one thing I never liked was the reveal of who the killer actually is. That the killer, spoiler for an almost 30-year-old movie, is the guy who they run over at the start of the movie. I don't know why, but the reveal always felt stupid and anticlimactic to me. The reveal of "I know what you did last summer 2025" felt way more satisfying. I can get behind the outsider's girl's motive. I personally also went through some tough times, and all my secondary school friends, if you can call them that, abandoned me as well and have no contact with anybody from that time anymore. If I had not met a lot of friends later and had nothing positive in my life, I also might have gone crazy. People sure try to push you in the wrong direction sometimes. After the outsider girl is taken out, thanks to Ray, the Brunette Final Girl deduces that, because of an injury she gave the hook guy, Ray must also have been masquerading as the killer. What a twist! A survivor from the original movies being the hook guy as well? I like that twist, and it even plays with the theme of the movie, which is trauma, and how it changes people if you don't treat it. Outsider Girl and fiancé number 1 both crushed out in their own ways, and JJ, since the events of the first movie, is fighting with PTSD. In the current movie, she has alarm sensors for any movement in her house installed, and remember, her killer guy has already been dead for decades. But how does that play into Ray being the second murderer? Well, the side plot of this movie is fiancé number 1's dead trying to downplay the killings and to erase what happened during the original movie. Southport got a bad reputation because of the killings, and fiancé number 1's dead gave the city's reputation a makeover and made it a tourist hotspot. So, to not scare tourists away, fiancé number 1's dead tried to hide everything. Ray did not like that as a victim of the first hook guy murder spree and wanted the city to remember its past. So his way to cope with the trauma was to initiate another hookman killing to make the city accept its past. That's why he probably took out fiancé number 1's dead as well, so he could no longer hide the city's past. Just after the dad's and the son's body get displaced publicly, the police start to take the killing seriously. Now that I think about it, I might like the reveal that he was also the hook guy even more, especially because I did not see it coming. Bold choice of the movie makers to make him a killer as well. I wonder how the OG movie fans feel about this. Ray would have gotten away with it if JJ had not intervened and deduced that he was the second killer. Till that point, she did not do that much. She was just a fan service machine roping iconic lines from the past movies like,
"What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?"
Talking about fan service, while the police locked brunette girl and Blondie up, Blondie has a dream sequence of young Helen from the original movie. That came off at random as fuck. They even used CGI to make Sarah Michelle Gellar look young again. But doesn't matter. At the end of the movie, thanks to JJ distracting Ray, the brunette finder girl managed to end him for good. The movie ends with brunette and Blondie leaving the hospital, going to eat something at the beach, and talking about how the outsider girl is still alive. Finally, after that, we have a scene that feels like a post-credits scene that wax in was put before the credits, showing how JJ goes to Brandy, her old roommate from the second movie, with a note signaling it's not over yet. So, I guess they are setting up a sequel with JJ and Brandy as main characters? Question mark? Well, I hope so much that this does well at the box office. From what I read, the movie's production cost was only 18 million, and the general rule is that a movie needs to make, on average, double its production cost to make even. So getting $36 million together can't be that difficult, can it? Even if this flops, I will still have my other 3 favorite horror franchises: Final Destination, Chucky, and Saw to look forward to.